ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः। ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। Welcome back to the Saturday and Sunday morning seminars on Sri Harinam Chintamani. In the last class, we ended with a discussion on chapter 2, that is Nama Grahan. Nama Grahan means chanting the holy names. And if you see, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is very systematically developing the whole science of the holy name very, very systematically. In the first chapter, he starts speaking about the energies of Krishna, the Chitta, Achitta, and the Jiva Vaibhav, and then how there are these different paths, the Karma Kanda, the Jnana Yoga, and then the topmost path is the holy name. And he establishes how by taking the holy name one can attain the highest goal, that is Krishna Prem, and all these other paths are indirect path, and they're actually meant to come to the direct path of Bhakti Yoga. And within Bhakti Yoga, the topmost dharma is in Kali Yuga to take the holy name. So that's how he had ended the first chapter. Now, how to take the holy name? In the second chapter, he began this discussion. And then he starts speaking about the glories of the holy name. The holy name is what? That it is Nama Chintamani, Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. And then he speaks about, Krishna's potency, the Sandhini potency has these four aspects: name, form, qualities, and pastimes. And among them, the name is very, very important. And just by taking one name of Krishna, whether it is pure or impure, properly pronounced or not properly pronounced, what happens? One attains liberation. But then there is one vichar here. What is that? That it should be not taken without offenses. It should be taken without offenses. And there are the primary names and the secondary names. The primary names give us love of Godhead. The secondary names, max, give us piety and liberation. So one should take the primary names. So he establishes that that chanting should be without offenses. And then he introduces the concept of namabhas. And by namabhas, what happens? Papashaya. And namabhas is very glorious. But there are these two faults or disruption. And one is what? Separation. And this separation, what we saw, this is Vaishnav Aparad Nam Aparad. It is Nam Aparad. And there is the other fault, which is called as Varna Vyavadan and Tattva Vyavadan. So these two faults, one should be completely free from. And then a little bit about what is this Namabhas. Namabhas, by chanting Namabhas, what happens? One can chant the Shuddha Nam. And Namabhash, what it does, it Papashaya, it purifies the Chitta. And Namabhas is very glorious. So that's how he speaks about Namabhas. And then in the end of second chapter, just speaking like this about Namabhas, he explains the qualifications. First is faith, there is no time and place, and then sincere faith. And then he says Ananya Shraddhaya, very sincere faith. And then the do's and don'ts of chanting the holy name. So that's how the second chapter has ended. Now today we will begin the third chapter, which is one of the most important chapters in Sri Harinam Chintamani. The third chapter is going to explain Namabhas. What is this Namabhas chanting? We have all heard about Namabhas, but today the whole tattva and the science of Namabhas in third chapter, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going to reveal to us. So let us begin the third chapter. If you have any questions, you can always raise your hands in the discussion. Again, he begins his first four verses, which are the invocation verses. Gadai Gauranga Jaya Janava Jivan Sita Advaita Jaya Srivasadi Bhaktagan. Glory to Lord Chaitanya, to Lord Gadadhar, Gadai Gauranga Jaya, to Lord Nityanand, the life of Janava Devi, Janava Jivan. Glory to Advait, the husband of Sita, Sita Advaita Jaya. Glory to Srivas and all the devotees of the Lord, Srivasadi Bhakta Gan. If we saw in the last class, after Haridas Thakur spoke like this, and he says, give me the strength to chant Krishna's name and serve Vaishnava devotees, and let me attain pure love. Speaking like this, Haridas Thakur fell at the feet of Lord Chaitanya. And now, in this verse, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is lifting Haridas Thakur. Haridase Mahaprabhu Sadaya Haya Uthaya Thakan Padmahasta Prasarya. Extending his lotus hand Lord, merciful Lord Chaitanya picked up Haridas, Uthaya Thakhan, Padmahasta with his own hands. He lifted Haridas Thakur. Bale Shuno Haridas Amar Vachan Namabhasa Spashta Rupe Bhujao Ekhan. He said, Bole Shune, Haridas, Amara Vachan, listen to my words. I will make you understand Namabhas very clearly. Namabhas Pashta Rupe Bhujao Ekhan. So here now, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying that I will make you understand Namabhas very clearly. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is now going to speak about Namabhas because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is himself inspired to speak about Namabhas. Because if we understand Namabhas, then we can take pure name and attain Krishna. So Krishna is very eager that devotees know Namabhas by which they can take pure name and come to him. So Krishna is expressing his eagerness. So once a devotee asked a spiritual master, I've been chanting so many years and I find that I'm not able to concentrate and my conditionings trouble me. How long it will take for me to actually chant and attain Krishna Prem? How long, Krishna is not going to bestow his mercy in the form of, revealing his potency in the holy names. So the sannyasi replied that Krishna has been waiting for you. Krishna has been waiting for you. When my devotee is going to take the pure name? How long you are going to make wait Krishna and chant offensively? How long you are going to make wait Krishna? So the point is that actually Krishna has been waiting for us. But we are what? We are not able to take the Shuddha Naam. So Mahaprabhu is very, very eager. He's very eager. Just a second. Yeah, sorry. Mahaprabhu is very eager to actually explain Namabhas because by which devotees can take Shuddhanam and come to him. Namabhasa bhujailo, nama Shuddha habe, anayasa jiva, nama gunatara yabe. One who understands Namabhasa bhujailo, nama Shuddha hobe will attain pure chanting of the holy name. So how important and glorious is going to be understanding Namabhas, devotees. Please understand now. Because if you understand Namabhas, then you can attain pure chanting. Anayas Jiva Nama Gune, by the mercy of the holy name, that soul will cross over the ocean of birth and death. Tara Yahweh. Tara means he will cross. So here, let us just once go and try to understand the concept of what is Namabhas. We have heard about many times this Namabhas, the reflection of the holy name. That's what we have. But what exactly is Namabhas? So here in the slide, I have tried to explain what is the meaning of Abhas. Abhas. Abhas is something like a dull image caused by obstructions, called as obstructions. Now the moon is there out in the sky in the evening, but because of the clouds or the fog, you cannot see the clear image of the moon. And because of these obstructions, what is happening? We cannot have a clear vision of the moon. Similarly, Abhas is what? Abhas are these obstructions. The holy name is pure, Nitya Mukta, Purna Shuddha, and it is like the sun. But because of obstructions in the form of these anarthas, we cannot, take the holy name purely, but what we take is the abhas of the holy name, the reflection of the holy name. And these are mainly the anarthas and the ignorance, avidya. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going to come to that. So abhas here means a dull image caused by reflections, obstructions. When the clear image we cannot see because of some obstructions. So that is what is meant by abhas. I hope devotees are able to see. No, okay. I'll have to share the screen. Okay. So namabhas then what means? It is name obstructed by impurities. The pure name is obstructed by impurities. The name remains pure, but the effect is weak because of obstruction. So the moon is completely clear, pure, and we can fully derive the nectar of the sprinkles of the moonshine, especially on a full moon night. We can fully derive it and feel the bliss, especially in the summers. It is mentioned that when night, if you sleep, the moonshine not only nourishes all the vegetation, Soma Bhuta Rasatma Aham, as Krishna tells in the 15th chapter, but also it when you sleep in the moonlight in the nights, whatever in the daytime because of the intense heat in the summers, you would have lost all your energy. It revives the energy. It gives you strength. That is what moonshine does in the night. So it gives those sprinkles of, droplets of Amrit in the form of nourishment for all vegetation on planet Earth and also to us. And that is why it is also recommended that we sleep in the summers in the outside, Usually in the villages, people used to, sleep outside their houses in the, expose themselves to the moonlight because in the summer it doesn't rain. So in the summers, usually, the night sky is very clear and there are no clouds. But if there are clouds, then what happens is because of the clouds, you cannot see the moon, and the effects of the moon in the form of nourishment for us, we don't fully get. And that is why the farmers also know that if during the summers, because of some reasons, if there are a lot of clouds in the night by which the moonshine is not clear, then the vegetables which are grown, they are not so juicy and tasty as compared to when the sky is clear. So even the farmers know this. So similarly, the name is obstructed by impurities which are there in our heart. The name remains pure, but the effect is weak because of the obstructions. Effect of the clouds covering in the summer, the moon, is that the vegetation which is there, grown by the farmers, is not having that juice and that strength by which we can get nourishment to the body. So similar is, namabhas. So this is the understanding and the concept of namabhas. So further, he is going to explain about namabhas. Let us now go to text 5. Text 5 to 7, he explains what is now namabhas. Ignorance and anarthas are clouds and fogs. So what is this abhas? The abhas are mega kucha hatika rupa agyan o anartha. So these coverings of the impurities is because of ignorance and anarthas. And ignorance is compared to the clouds because I think ignorance is compared to the fog, I think, and anarthas is compared to the clouds. So let us see. Next verse, he'll come to that. Nama Surya Sama Nashe Maya Andakar Mega Kucha Hatika Name Dhake Bar Bar. Shining like the sun, the holy name destroys the darkness of ignorance. Nama Surya Sama, it is like the sun. Nashe Maya Andakar, it destroys the darkness of ignorance. However, clouds and fogs again and again cover the sun of the holy name. Mega Kucha Hatika Name Dhake Bar Bar. So this all devotees experience. The holy name is like the sun. When the sun is out there shining brilliantly, there is no question of the clouds covering it. But when the clouds cover, then what happens? We cannot experience the full, experience of the heat of the sun. So these clouds are in the form of anarthas, and clouds and fogs, anartha and ignorance, cover the full potency of the holy name for us to experience. It is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Akama Sarva Kamava Moksha Kama Udharadi Tivrena Bhakti Yogena. Tivrena Bhakti Yogena Yajanti Purusha Param. So what is this Tivrena Bhakti Yogena? Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives an example. This Tivrena Bhakti Yogena means when Bhakti Yoga is practiced very purely, then it is like the sun, which is not covered by the clouds or the fog. The fog cannot cover the sun nor the clouds when there is intense summer heat. There are no clouds there. So then you can fully experience the heat of the sun. Similarly, when clouds in the form of anarthas cover our heart, we cannot fully experience the sun of the holy name. So that is the analogy here given by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And we all experience while we are chanting, sometimes we chant very nicely and we feel very happy and blissful. We feel an inner satisfaction. And other days we are chanting, we are struggling, and we don't experience any bliss in our chanting. Why is this? Because dhake bar bar. Repeatedly, sometimes the clouds open up and we see the sun and we experience heat and we feel happy. But again, after some time, the clouds might cover the sun and then we don't experience the heat. That is why, especially in the 4 months of the rainy season, the Agni means the heat in the stomach, which is called as the Jatragni, it comes down because the sun is not out for the 4 months, and that is why the digestion is low. And it is recommended that one should eat light food, which is easy to digest food. And that only, we should reduce our intake of food and we should minimize our bodily needs in the Chaturmasya and increase our, spiritual activities. Spiritual activities, that is why Chaturmasya is there. So the Agni goes down because ultimately, it is all dependent on the sun also. Because the sun is covered, that is why, the energy levels are also down. When the sun is out from morning 6 to evening 6, there is activity in the jiva. The sun, inspires the mode of passion and there is activity. So in the rainy seasons also, it is recommended that we slow down our activities and then increase our spiritual activities in one sense. But we see that when the clouds cover the sun, what happens? We don't experience the bliss in chanting. Why? Because this happens repeatedly. Dhake bhar bhar. So here, a beautiful metaphor is given for us to understand. Jivera jnana ara anartha sakal kuchahati mega rupa hoyete prabhal. The individual soul's ignorance and anarthas become the clouds and fogs, and they are prabhal. Prabhal means actually it is very strong. So here is a footnote Let us see what is the footnote. Lord Krishna and Lord Krishna's names are non-different. They are a spiritual sun that destroys the darkness of ignorance. Out of compassion for the conditioned souls, the sun of the holy name rises in the material world. The conditioned soul's ignorance is like fog. Yes, as I mentioned, ignorance is like fog. The conditioned soul's anarthas are like clouds. So the anarthas are like clouds. They make a darkness that cover the sun of the holy name. Actually, that darkness covers only the eyes of the conditioned souls. The sun is great. Nothing has the power to cover it. Still, when shadow falls on the eyes of the conditioned souls, it is said that the sun is covered. So here, a very clear footnote explanation is given that this Kujjahatika, this ignorance in the form of fog and clouds, is what covers the sun of the holy name rise in the heart. And the sun can never be covered because sun is, very powerful. It is great. But from our perspective, what happens? It covers us. So here in the slide, I have put it up. I think it will come up later on. Yeah, here it is there, 3.5. As the brilliance of the sun extinguishes the darkness, the holy name extinguishes the darkness of illusion, Maya. However, clouds or fog, here you can see the sun is not seen. Why? Because of the clouds and fog. However, cloud or fog may cover the sun from the viewer so that only a portion of the light is perceived. So only a portion of the light is perceived. And what is this? There are two things, two obstructions. One is ignorance, which is compared to the fog. In the morning, when the fog is there, you cannot see anything. And then the anarthas. The anarthas are very deep rooted, and that's why they are compared to fogs. The ignorance, the fog is very light, and with the rising of the sun, ignorance, is driven out. And even when the sun rises, the fog is gone. But even when the sun is out there in the sky, the clouds are there. The clouds can cover the sun. So in one sense, ignorance is quickly, driven out, but the anarthas are there, which are compared to the clouds. So the comparison is also very, very apt. Now, next verse in Sri Harinam Chintamani. Krishna Nama Surya Chitta Gagane Uthila Kujjahatika Mega Puna Tahara Dakhila. When the sun of the holy name rises in the sky of the heart. Now here, what is the sky of the heart? We have to understand. Kujjahatika Mega Puna, the clouds and the fog again cover it. So repeatedly, when the holy name rises in the heart, repeatedly the fog in the form of ignorance and the clouds in the form of anarthas repeatedly cover it. And that is why we are not able to fully experience the pure sunshine of the holy name. Now, what is the sky of the heart? So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 11th canto, it is mentioned that within the Antakaran, actually the soul is there in the heart, region of the heart. And when the soul from the deep core of the heart calls out Krishna's name, and this sound is not coming from the mouth, it is coming from the heart. It is coming from the heart. From the core of the heart, it is coming. And when we call out like this, Krishna, then what happens? This kind of calling attracts Krishna. Just like the genuine cry, Srila Prabhupada in Science of Self-Realization introduction, he explains the meaning of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That, just like a child cries out for mother, and the mother can understand the sincere cry of the child, and she comes and reciprocates lovingly by feeding milk and caressing and loving the child. So similarly, when the devotee cries out from the heart the holy name, Then Mother Hara. Hara is, address in the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Actually, it is Hara, which in the form of address becomes Hare. So Hara refers to the internal potency of the Lord, Srimati Radharani. So when we call out Srimati Radharani like this, then Srimati Radharani will introduce us to Sri Krishna. She will make us achieve Krishna. So this chanting should be called out genuinely from the heart. So there is the heart here. Heart refers to the soul. It is genuine, calling out from inner depth of our core of our heart. So there is an important principle and a sutra which is very important in chanting. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, our chanting should not be lip deep, but heart deep. So what is the sutra? Our chanting should not be lip deep, but it should be heart deep. Now, what is this chanting from heart deep? Let me give a beautiful example to understand this. Let us, have some graphical example to understand this. Suppose two, three friends have gone on a trekking and they have gone to trek on a mountain and they all climb the mountain with all the instruments, the rope and the cliffhangers and all that. And ultimately, they go on the peak of the mountain and they feel, wow, we have done it. And because the mountain is very steep, suddenly one of the boys slips from the mountain and he slips and falls. Now he's falling high from the mountain, but somehow he catches on to a branch of a tree. Now, when he catches the branch of the tree, he knows now if he leaves this branch straight, he's going to go down deep and all his bones are going to break and he's going to die. At that time, how will he call out for his friend's help? How will he call out? My dear friends, I am stuck here. Please lift me up. This is how he's going to call? No. He's going to cry out from the core of his heart. Friends, please save me. So that call is not just a call from the mouth, it is from the core of the heart. So that is how we should also chant the holy names. We are actually caught in the 14 planetary systems of Maya in this material world. We are completely shackled by Maya in this material world, and we should realize that. And then we should call out from the deepest core of our heart the holy name. And that is like crying out from the heart or the sky of the heart. So the holy name also should be called out deeply from the core of the heart. But even when we call out like this, again, the clouds and the fog, the ignorance, which is the fog, and the clouds, which is like the anarthas, repeatedly cover it. So now we understand what are these, abhas, the obstructions. The obstructions are in the form of clouds and fog, which is anartha and ignorance. Now, how to eliminate this? Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going to speak. So text 8 to 12 onwards, he is going to speak now the mist of ignorance. The mist is actually the fog of ignorance. So how to eliminate that? So 8 to 12, what is this ignorance and how we can eliminate this ignorance? He is going to speak. ना मेरा ये चित्त स्वरूप ताहा नहीं जाने से अज्ञान कुज्जहटिका अंधकार आने. When the soul does not understand the spiritual nature of the holy name, the fog of ignorance brings darkness. Kujjahatika means, it covers dark, it becomes dark. So even in the night time, sometimes when there is fog, you cannot see the moon. So similarly, what is this ignorance? Ignorance is when the soul does not understand the spiritual nature of the holy name. Nama Chintamani Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. So when we don't chant in the Sambandha Gyan of this knowledge that the holy name is spiritual, we don't realize this, at least theoretically while chanting, and we chant, that time we are covered by ignorance in the form of fog and we cannot experience the sun of the holy name. So this is the first ignorance which has to be driven out by giving Sambandha Gyan knowledge that this holy name is completely spiritual. Krishna Sarveshwara Bali Nahi Jane Ye Nana Deva Puji Karma Marga Brahme Se. The soul who does not know that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead will worship many demigods. In this way, he is lost, wandering on the path of karma. So I was explaining even in the first chapter that especially when devotees, face a lot of health issues or suffering, and then they go to an astrologer says, "Oh, you have this dosh, you should worship this devata." And with faith, then they perform these activities without having faith that Krishna, if I do Krishna bhakti, everything is taken care. When they lack this faith, and in order to become free from suffering or in order to become free from the disease which he is undergoing, he takes shelter of the Devatas. At that time, what? He does not know who is Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the Devatas are his appointed ministers. All the strength the Devatas have is coming from Krishna. So it is deep ignorance to think that the Devatas independently can give fruits to their worshippers. No, the Devatas also don't have this power. It is only Krishna through the Devatas gives the fruits. Mayeva vihitan hitan. In the Bhagavad Gita 7th chapter, Krishna is saying. So we don't have this knowledge. And if a powerful Devata can cure your disease, and that Devata is deriving his power from Krishna, does Krishna doesn't have the power to cure your disease then? That means we lack faith in Krishna. So this is the second ignorance which we have. Once in Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada had one of his disciples. His name is Vishal Prabhu. Very, very simple, pure devotee who stays in Vrindavan. And he himself told this story, which I personally heard in Vrindavan as an offering on Srila Prabhupada's Vyas Puja Day. So he told that once when he came to Vrindavan and he was serving, many of Prabhupada disciples were serving in Vrindavan for the Krishna Balaram Mandir. So he was facing some difficulties in his spiritual life. And, somehow when he was in Vrindavan, he went and met an astrologer. And the astrologer checked his hand and he said, "Oh, you have you have joined ISKCON and you're doing spiritual practice, you'll attain perfection. But there is some obstacle, there is some Shani dosh you have. And because of this Shani dosh, you are facing a lot of obstacles." So this Vishal asked what I should do. "No, you should buy this gem from me and wear this gem ring on your finger. And then you will become free from this Shani dosh." So innocently he bought the ring and he was wearing this ring. And innocently he told other god brothers that this is what this astrologer told that, And the other god brothers went and told this to Prabhupada. Prabhupada, this Vishal, he's wearing a finger ring, gem, because, the astrologer told that he has Shani dosh. So Prabhupada, when he came to know, he called Vishal, his disciple, and he said, "So I heard that, you're wearing this ring because there is some dosh for you to surrender to Krishna. There is some obstacle." Yes, Prabhupada, he said. "Do you know what it means to surrender to Krishna?" Vishal was taken aback. He became serious. What to speak of these different planetary influences, these grahas, and the Shani dosh and that dosh. If one surrenders to Krishna, not in this universe, all these devatas were influencing, but in all the billions of universes, all these Shani dosh are all kicked out by surrendering to Krishna. This is what is the meaning of surrender to Krishna. Prabhupada said. He immediately realized it, removed the ring, and gave it back to Prabhupada and went up to chanting. So when we surrender to Krishna, all the devatas are pleased, in fact. And if not understanding Krishna Sarveshwar, and then we worship these other devatas, then we are lost. This is the second ignorance, in the form of fog. This is Sambandha Gyan, which we don't have. This is second thing what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying. There is one question here. Let me take it up. Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. In connection with having complete faith in Krishna as all powerful and able to protect, I have one question, Prabhuji. So if you see this astrology, Ayurveda, and Kundali, and all these are also part of Vedic wisdom. So, as it is also told that one should not become too fanatic and should do the needful. Suppose if I break my hand or if I fall ill, at the same, I can chant holy names to purify my consciousness, but at the same time, I have to take treatment for that. So, and also for maintaining the family, also I need to do some endeavor. I cannot only depend on Krishna. So, how to understand this in the proper perspective and not to become fanatic with saying that everything Krishna will take care.
Yes, yes. Yeah, this is one of the questions which many times devotees come up with, that, Ayurveda, astrology are part of Vedic science, and what is wrong if we take help in our spiritual practices. Now, two things which we don't realize, especially with relation to material and spiritual. We have a material body, and the material body is working under material laws. Now, take the example of suffering because of some disease. Now, when you're suffering because of a disease, you go to an allopath doctor. The allopath doctor gives you the medicine, and you take the medicine and you get cured, suppose. Then you continue with your spiritual practices. It doesn't affect your spiritual practices. But you go to an Ayurvedic doctor and your disease is not cured, you go to an Ayurvedic doctor. The Ayurvedic doctor also gives you the medicine based on his diagnosis. Still, the disease doesn't get cured, or period of years, many years, it doesn't get cured. Then you become more disturbed and you're going through the suffering. So the Ayurvedic doctor, when he sees that he's trying these medicines, he is not able to cure the patient, then he says, oh, maybe I'll have to check your chart. And through the chart, gives about your past karmic activities, how you have got this body. So it can give you some indications. So when he checks the chart, he comes to know that, oh, ultimately what? Daiva. Daiva, there is no sanction of Daiva. And that is why my medicines are not working. So when you hear this, then you go to the astrologer. And the astrologer says, yes, because of your previous karma, there is this dosh. You have committed these sinful activities. And because of that, there is some bad influences. There is Shani dosh, or there is this Navagraha dosh. So if you worship this Navagraha dosh and become free from the dosh, then, your suffering will be taken away. You will become free from it. So then what happens is, now, you are now putting on faith. Your faith is being shaken here. Now this faith, on this astrology is different from the faith what you have on allopathic doctor. It doesn't mean that, tomorrow the allopathic doctor cures you, you start, worshipping the allopathy doctor. It doesn't happen like that because that is material science. You know that. But because Ayurveda and astrology are spiritual sciences, what happens is, it has an effect on our faith. It is having an effect on our Shraddha. So we might, our faith in Krishna consciousness might get affected because of it. So we might develop faith in the demigod. And if we worship the demigod and actually our disease gets cured, then our faith in Krishna and the faith in demigods, our faith is now divided. This faith division can have severe impact on our spiritual life. So there are these 5 factors of action. Adhishtanam karta, karanam cha pratakvida. I'll show you the verse. It's very important to see the verse so that we understand. There is the Veda base. Where is the Veda base? I'm not able to find the Veda base. Just a minute. Adhishtanam cha tata karta, karanam cha with pratakvida. Yeah, it's here, Veda base. It's not opening, sorry. Yeah. So 18.14 in the Bhagavad Gita, it is mentioned Adhishtanam cha karta, karanam cha pratakvida, and vividishcha cheshta, daiva pancham evatra. So Adhishta means the place, karta is the doer, karanam is all the senses he has engaged, and then cheshta means endeavor. So these are 4 factors. The 5th is daiva. So we are staying in one place, that is the place, and our body is giving health problems, and we are endeavoring by taking allopathic medicines, but still, it is not favoring. We are not, and then there is, we understand we don't get affected because allopathy is not working. But when we go to an astrologer or to an Ayurvedic physician, there he speaks based on the chart that Daiva is not giving sanction. So that Daiva is not giving sanction, the allopathy doctor will not tell you about it because he doesn't have this knowledge. It's only in the Vedic science this Daiva knowledge is there. So when we understand Daiva, we can get affected, our faith can get affected. But these again is part of, the arrangement. The Karma Kanda Shastras are part of, material arrangements for elevation slowly. But Bhakti is transcendental, and Bhakti is directly controlled by Bhakti Devi, which is directly the Swarup Shakti of the Lord. And for us, ultimately is what? Guru Sadhu Shastra, the orders of the spiritual master. So if we don't have faith in that and somebody says, oh, Daiva is not sanctioning in your chart, so maybe you should, do some other practice or some other thing for doing this. And when we endeavor in that direction, that is where our faith is getting affected. So here in the Vedic science, what is happening? The factor of Daiva is coming there. And because Daiva factor is coming up, it can have effect in our faith in devotion, faith in Krishna, faith in the holy name, faith in the Guru Shishya Parampara. And that is why there is a problem. So that is the reason, why, although these are both Vedic sciences, there is effect in the faith, and that is why we should be very, very careful and cautious about it. Is it clear, Prabhuji?
Prabhuji, it's not that clear, though I appreciate you the way you explained, Prabhu, but it shows that you are condemning the Ayurveda altogether. One should not go there because ultimately it will lead to the loss of faith. But my point was
no. I did not condemn. I did not condemn Ayurveda. I did not condemn Ayurveda because Ayurveda is also Vedic science. And when you're taking treatment from a doctor, he might consult the chart. In fact, when I have also taken Ayurvedic treatments, many of the doctors told me that, we need your chart, for the proper treatment. But what I'm speaking is when the chart says, that, oh, this is what is, you'll have to do this, Shani dosh you have to do, by which, your, your disease will be cured. And then you start doing those karma kanda activities, then your faith will be affected. You don't have faith that, if I'm doing Krishna worship, I will, attain perfection. Of course, based on the chart, what the Ayurvedic physician, recommends, you take that. You take that medication. That is not a problem. But when you instill your faith that I'll have to do this worship of demigod in order to become cured from the disease, then the problem arrives. In fact, many told me that, I should go do this Devta worship, that Devta worship to become free from a disease which I've been suffering from many years. And when we take up that advice, then what happens is our faith, Shraddha Shabde Vishwas, Sudhrida Nishchay, Krishna Bhakti Kaile Sarva Karma Krit Hai. That faith is shaken. And that is because of lack of Sambandh Gyan, and that can be a kind of ignorance. So that is what I'm speaking. I'm not condemning Ayurveda by saying that, you don't show your chart to take the medication, but you have to restrict to that. And if it doesn't happen, then ultimately you should, have the supreme Daiva faith that ultimately Krishna doesn't want. Krishna has some higher plan for me. Krishna wants me to suffer so that I can get purified. If in this knowledge, if you stick on to Krishna consciousness, then there is no problem. But then you start endeavoring to become free from the suffering by following these other paths, either the astrological path through Devta worship or the Ayurvedic path for some other cures which he might suggest for worshipping some Devtas, then there is problem. Is it clear?
Okay, Prabhu, thank you very much. I will discuss you sometime personally, Prabhu, for some more clarity.
Fine. So there is one more question. While chanting the holy names, chanting with the Sambandh Gyan that the holy name is not different from Krishna is higher, or chanting with one personal mood of relationship with Krishna is more important, or it could be culmination of both. Our chanting, especially in the sadhana stage, should be done in Sambandha Gyan. And Sambandha Gyan means it will come now. Next few verses only it will come. In what Sambandha Gyan we should chant the holy name. That I am Anu consciousness. I am a particle of consciousness, and Krishna is Vibhu consciousness. Krishna is supreme consciousness. And I am part and parcel of him. And because of now being averse to Krishna, I am now in this material world, engaged in this material world. This material world is a prison because I am now averse to Krishna. And I should chant in a mood that I am your servant, So in that mood, one should chant. But usually only in the very elevated stages of Raga Bhakti, where one has, because of the purity of consciousness, has very good idea about his relationship, his mood, the mood are Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya and Madhurya. These moods are not revealed at least up to the stage of, Asakti and Bhava. So trying to imagine some moods, especially before Anarth Nivritti, is not recommended. Our mood should be that of Das. In that mood, we should chant. So better to always chant in the Sambandha Jnana mood. So that is the best recommended. Okay, so this is the second ignorance, which we have, which is in the form of fog. The third one now. जीव चित्त स्वरूप बोली नाही यारा ज्ञान, Maya Jadashraya Tara Satata Gyan. The soul who does not understand his own spiritual identity as a soul takes shelter of Maya. He is always in ignorance. So I am a soul, Aham Brahmasmi. That's not sufficient. I am a soul, part and parcel of Parabrahma. So Jivera Sarup Hoy Krishnera Nityadas. From the Bhakti perspective, this is the highest understanding. I'm a soul, part and parcel of Krishna. Jiva Chitta Swarup. So the spiritual identity, who am I? I am spirit soul. So this kind of, Sambandha Gyan we should have. Tabe Haridas Bole, Aja Ami Danya, Mama Mukha Nama Kata Shunibe Chaitanya. Now all this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has been speaking till now. And is saying, then Haridas Thakur said, Tabhi Haridas Bole, today I have become fortunate. Aja mi dhanya, mama mukha naam, from my mouth, Kata Shunibe Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya will hear about the holy name. Krishna Jiva Prabhu Das, Jadatmika Maya, Yena Jane Tara Shire, Ajnanera Chaya. Lord Krishna and the individual souls are master and servant. And the world of Maya is dull, lifeless, and worthless. When the soul does not know these truths, the shadow of ignorance falls on his head. So, this is again the answer to that second question which was asked in the chat. Now, I'm not sharing the screen. Sorry, please forgive me. I'm not sharing the screen here. Yeah. This was text 10, Jiva Chitta. We don't understand our spiritual identity. And then Haridas Thakur is happy that today from my mouth, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going to hear. And then he speaks this verse, text 12. Lord Krishna and the individual souls are master and servants, and the world of Maya is dull, lifeless, and worthless. When the soul does not knows these truths, the shadow of ignorance falls on his head. So let us see that footnote 2 now. The holy name is spiritual in nature. Lord Krishna is the supreme master of all, and the various demigods and all are all Lord Krishna's servants. And the individual souls are also spiritual in nature. And the world of Maya is dull, lifeless, and worthless. When they do not understand these truths, the individual souls are in ignorance. However, when they understand these truths, they are not in ignorance. So this is a very, very important point, and how to chant in Sambandha Gyan will come up in text 25. But again, I will take up that right away because that will again answer the question which was asked in chat. So here is that text here, 25 more. I, an infinitesimal conscious being, am Lord Krishna's eternal servant. Lord Krishna, the all-powerful conscious being, is my only master. This dull and inert material world is a prison house meant to reform me. This is true knowledge, Sambandha Gyan, of the individual soul's relationship with Lord Krishna. So this is how a meditation is given here to chant. So this in the introduction, in the preface, I will go back to the preface. A very nice preface, one I think Sachinandan Maharaj has written. I will go to that meditation, how one should meditate while chanting the holy names. Just a second. Let me find out which page it is mentioned. Yeah, it is here, this page. Okay. So, sorry. Yeah. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur recommends a simple meditation that fixes the mind in the correct understanding of our position in relation to Krishna. Sambandha Gyan. I am an atomic particle of consciousness and Krishna's eternal servant. Krishna is the infinite conscious being and my only master. This material world is a prison house meant to reform my absent-mindedness. So, there are these anarthas to end shadow chanting. What Bhaktivinoda Thakur recommends, this is the footnote. So how to, become free from that fog of ignorance? This is a beautiful meditation every day we can have while chanting the holy names. While chanting the holy names, this is the kind of meditation we can do so that we can, chant the holy names and become free from this, the mist of ignorance, the mist of ignorance. So that is about text 12. Now everything about text 12, now I have summarized here in the chart. So two things were there, which was mentioned, the ignorance, which is like fog, and the anarthas like the clouds. Now from 8 to 12, the ignorance. Position of the name. The name is material. Position of Krishna. Krishna and Devatas are equal. If we have this kind of, ignorance, then, our chanting is covered by the mist or the fog. Position of Jiva. Jiva becomes God. If we have this kind of knowledge, then that is ignorance. And the goal, the prayojan, liberation or material enjoyment. So these four things, if we have this wrong knowledge and we are chanting in this, Sambandha Gyan, then we are covered by this ignorance. And what is the right knowledge? Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given. So devotees, please read these 8 to 12 verses repeatedly every day. And any actions which are done, action should be done in knowledge. In the mode of goodness, the actions are done with knowledge. And that's why we don't commit mistakes. There is contemplation and there is actions. In the mode of passion, there is just action done and then we contemplate, oh, why did I do this? And then we lament and when we ask forgiveness. In the mode of ignorance, there is neither contemplation nor proper action. So, how to become free from this ignorance is by proper Sambandha Gyan, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving that proper Sambandha Gyan in these 4 verses, 8 to 12. So regularly read these 8 to 12 verses, and with this Sambandha Gyan, take up to the chanting while actually chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and you will see amazing effects in your chanting. So this is about removing the mist of ignorance. Now he will come to the anarthas, which are still deep rooted. So from text 13 to 14, he speaks about the anarthas. Mega anartha asat trishna hridhay daurbalya aparad. The cloud of anarthas, thirst for worthless material things, weakness of heart and offenses. Asat trishna hridhay daurbalya aparad anartha eishab mega rupaye kare bhadya. The anarthas are thirst for worthless material things, asat trishna, weakness of the heart, hridhay daurbalya, and offenses, aparad. Anartha eishab mega rupaye, like clouds. Now the anarthas are like clouds now. These anarthas block the sun of the holy name. Kare bad. They cover the sun of the holy name. So footnote 3. The thirst for worthless material things, which means the thirst for sense objects that have nothing to do with Lord Krishna, or in other words, the desire for material sense pleasures, are also weakness of the heart, and also offenses are the anarthas, clouds that fall on the individual souls. So what are these clouds now? He's explaining 3 things. Weakness or asat trishna, thirst for the material things, material enjoyment, weakness of the heart, hriday dhaurbalya, and aparad. These are clouds. Nama surya rashmi dhake nama basa hoy swata siddha krishna nama sadha achadya. So here there is a slide which I did not show. Okay. So these are the anarthas. incompatible desires. On earth, we want happiness. In heaven, we want to enjoy. And we might have some siddhis, or we have a desire for liberation. So this is all falling in the category of Asat Trishna. The Hridaya Dhaurbalya, the weakness of the heart is greed, envy, cheating, desire, fame, prujala, pratishta. And the aparad is what? The Nam aparad, the Vaishnava aparad, the Seva aparads, which are performed during Seva, and Jivahamsa. Jivahamsa means troubling other living beings, like, troubling the ants, troubling the mosquitoes, troubling other living beings. So that is Jivahimsa. So Nam Aparad, Vaishnava Aparad, Seva Aparad, and Jiva Aparad, or Jivahimsa it is called. So these are aparads, So these three are in the form of anarthas. And what is Bhaktivinoda Thakur saying in the next verse? That when these clouds block the light emanating from the sun of the holy name, Nama Sura Rashmi Dake, Namabhasai, it is called Namabhas. So here is the definition of what exactly is Namabhas now. Namabhas is when the pure sun is blocked by the clouds and we cannot experience the rays of the pure sun. That is Namabhas. And what are these blocks? These are the three anarthas which Bhaktivinoda Thakur has explained. However, the holy name of Lord Krishna is perfect in itself and always uncovered. We are covered by the clouds, but the sun is not. Sun is very vast and the tiny cloud cannot compare. But from our perspective, the cloud is covering the sun. The cloud is covering the sun. So I think I have a chart for this. Let us see. Yeah, 3.14. Now here you can see the sun. It is like the sun of the holy name. Though the one may speak of the holy name being covered by the cloud of anarthas, in reality, the sun of the holy name can never be covered. Rather, the senses of the material conditioned individual are covered. Here you can see two people have covered their faces and they cannot see the sun. So our eyes are covered. Vishaya chadiya kabe shuddha hobe man. Tabe ami Shri Haribo Shri Vrindavan. Our consciousness is covered by all these clouds in the form of desires. So we see, based on our consciousness, if we are having calm desire, if we are calm atmika, and we see this world as what the world meant for enjoyment, and we want to enjoy in this world. So we have been covered by these desires of enjoyment, which is asat trishna, and we have been covered. We act sometimes out of envy. We act out sometimes because of duplicity, or we act in a way so that we can get more name and fame. So all these are because of the weakness of the heart. And then the Vaishnava Prads. So these are how we have been now covered by these clouds. The holy name is pure like the sun and it cannot be covered. So this is the point Bhaktivinoda Thakur is making in this text. Now, text 15 and 16, you might ask, when does Namabhas come to an end? Namabhasera avadi. Sambandha tatvera jnana yavat na hoy tavat se namabhasya jivera ashray. As long as one does not understand his relationship with Lord Krishna, the individual soul takes shelter of Namabhas. Sambandha jnana. If we don't chant in Sambandha jnana, then always we will be covered and our chanting will be Namabhas and will not be able to chant Shuddha Nam. Sadhaka yadapi paye sadaguru ashray bhajananai punya mega adi dhurahai. If, however, if an individual soul takes shelter of the bona fide spiritual master and becomes expert in devotional service, the cloud of anarthas flee from him. So when with Sambandha Gyan we chant, that time what happens? We take shelter of a Sadguru hear this knowledge and have a clear understanding. And in this knowledge, we chant, then our Namabas Avadi will come to an end. So important is it to understand Namabas. Now there is a lot more Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going to speak about Namabas. And now he'll start speaking about the Sambandha, because the Sambandha Gyan he had told. So from text 17 to 20, the theme is what? Sambandha Abhidaya Prayojan. Sambandha Abhidaya Prayojan. Megha Kuchahatika Gela Nama Divakara Prakasha Haya Bhakte Dena Premavara. When these clouds and fog are gone, the sun of the holy name shines brightly. To such a devotee, the holy name then gives the gift of pure love for Lord Krishna. So when the sun of the holy name rises because of the fogs and clouds gone, then the devotee, the holy name will give him pure love. Sadguru Sambandha Gyan Kariya Arpan Abhideya Rupa Karana Nama Anushilan. The bona fide spiritual master then gives knowledge of the soul's relationship with Lord Krishna. The spiritual master instructs the disciple to take up Abhidheya or chanting the holy name. So in this context, this looks quite simple. We might think, oh, we have Sambandh Gyan, so many years we are chanting. But our Sambandh Gyan knowledge is not very deep, solidly grounded. I'll give you some understanding of how quickly this can happen, that when moment we understand this Sambandha Gyan and we take up, the process, the Abhidheya, that is the chanting, and immediately it has an effect. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in one of his novel called as Jaiva Dharma, begins this novel. In this, there are many characters, and he begins this novel with Mayavad sannyasi who comes to Navdeep, and in Navdeep he wants to have he wants to take a shelter of a Sadguru. And the Navdeep Vasis say there is Premdas Babaji Maharaj in Survi Kunj. You go and take shelter. He's the topmost elevated Vaishnava. So this Mayavad sannyasi comes there and immediately falls prostrated obeisances to Premdas Babaji Maharaj. Premdas Babaji Maharaj is absorbed in chanting and he doesn't realize that somebody has come. But when he sees, he immediately gets down from his seat and offers obeisances. And the sannyasi, Mayavad sannyasi, is humbled. And then, what brings you here? How can I serve you? And this Mayavadi sannyasi, he, tells his story. He says that, I've been residing in Banaras. I have visited all the holy places in Himalayas. And I took up to the renounced order sannyas. I have studied all the Shad Darshans. I have studied the Sharirika Bhashya of Shankaracharya. I have studied all these scriptures. I have studied even the Vedanta. And I have been practicing the renounced order for so many years. But still my heart is dissatisfied. Once it so happened, when I was in Banaras, that I saw a Vaishnava. He was taking the holy name, Krishna, Krishna, and he fell in ecstasy. And he fell on the ground. And seeing this darshan, I experienced a bliss in my heart, an ecstasy in my heart, which none of my practices of sannyas ever have given this bliss. What is this bliss? What is this attraction I developed? I could not realize it. And I wanted to meet this sannyasi and talk to him. But because of my pride of being a sannyasi from the Mayavad Sampradaya, I hesitated to approach him. And this Vaishnava sannyasi, who out of pure love, bhava, was taking Krishna's name, he went away. But later on, I felt, oh, I should have met this sannyasi. I have experienced something which I have never experienced like this in my life. but he could not find the sannyasi. And now his heart, because of having a darshan of a pure Vaishnava, his heart is attracted to now, what is this holy name? What is this, you know, this path he has taken that he's experiencing so much bliss. So this Mayavad sannyasi explains to Premdas Babaji Maharaj that I searched for the sannyasi in entire Banaras, but I could not find. And at last now, I know that Vaishnava sannyasis live in Navdeep. So from Banaras, I have traveled to Navdeep. And in Navdeep, they have told me that you are the foremost of the Vaishnavas. I have come to surrender my life to you. Please instruct me. So this Mayavadi sannyasi, he becomes a disciple of Premdas Babaji Maharaj. And he starts asking ABCD questions of Sambandha Gyan. Who am I? What is this material world? And who is the creator of this material world? So there in that chapter, there is what is spoken is the most philosophical aspect of our philosophy, which is called as Sambandha Gyan. We have these three things, what is called as Tattva-traya in the Upanishads. Tattva-traya, Jiva, material nature, Jagat, and Jagadishwar. Jagadishwar is the controller of both the Jiva and the Jagat. So what is the relationship with the Jiva and the Jagat? What is the relation between the Jiva and the Lord? What is the relationship between Jagadishwar and the Jagat? What is the relationship between the Jagadishwar and the Jiva? So all this, what constitutes is Sambandha Gyan. So when this Sambandha Gyan was given to this Mayavad sannyasi, and he took up to the chanting, immediately all this ignorance was destroyed and he could chant the Shuddha Nam, and he could actually in his darshan have and see Navdeep as a spiritual abode of the Lord. So this Sambandha Gyan is very, very important. The whole Bhagavad Gita is speaking about Sambandha Gyan. Krishna in 7.4 is explaining the Jagat. He's explaining in 7.5 Jiva. And then he's explaining how he, Jagadishwar, is the source of both the Jiva and the Jagat. Bhumi Rapo Analo Vayu Kham Manor Buddhi Revacha Ahankariti Amme Bhinna Prakriti Ashtada Aparamitastu Anyam Prakritim Vidyam Me Param Jiva Bhuto Mahabhavo Yedam Dharite Jagat. And then Etad Yonini Bhutani Sarvan Nityapadaraya Aham Krishnasya Jagata Prabha Pralaya Tata. So Krishna in 7.4, 5, 6, he is giving the Sambandha Gyan, and that is why we should have solid understanding of this Sambandha Tattva. And with this Sambandha Tattva, we practice the Abhidheya, immediately it will give us the Prayojan. The bona fide spiritual master then gives knowledge of the soul's relationship with Krishna. Jiva Krishna Das, Karlo e Vishwas, Aradhukanai. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, if we have this Vishwas, I am Krishna Das. Krishna can put me in suffering, Krishna can put me in happiness. It's all dependent on Krishna. I have nothing to do with happiness and distress. The spiritual master instructs the disciple to take up Abhidheya or the chanting of the holy name. Nama Surya Swalpa Kale Prabhala Haya Anartha Kujjahatika Dena Tadiya. Soon, shining very brightly, the sun of the holy name chases away the clouds of Anartha. Prayojana Tattva Yabe Dena Prema Dana Prapta Prema Jiva Kare Nama Sankirtan. So when the Sambandha Gyan is there, and with this Sambandha Gyan you chant, the ignorance and the clouds are destroyed, clouds of Anartha is destroyed, and then what happens? Abhidheya is practiced, and then Prayojan. When the holy name gives the great treasure of spiritual love, then it is called Prayojan. That is called Prayojan. Prema Tattva Tabe Dene Prema Dhan. Then the soul filled with love chants the holy name. Prema Prapta Jeev Kare Nama Sankirtan. So then he'll start doing the Nama Sankirtan. So text 20 now have given Sambandha, Abhidheya and Prayojan in order to become free from the anarthas in the form of clouds. Now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is now going to go more in depth about the Sambandha Gyan, Abhidheya Gyan, and Prayojan Gyan. Especially Sambandha Gyan, he is going to go more in depth. That we will see tomorrow. Any questions, any clarifications you have? Any other questions anyone has? Okay, there is one more in the chat box. Okay, fine. Vasant Naik has this. Prabhuji, regarding law of karma, while cleaning house, making prasad, so many bacteria were killed in that case. What should we do to avoid the karma phala? Yeah, this Pancha Mahashuna it is called. There are 5 kinds of sins regularly committed. That is what, while sweeping, a lot of insects are killed. While cooking, a lot of, insects are killed. Like this, these 5 kinds of sins are committed, in family life. In fact, every day we do this. So in the Karma Kanda procedures, there are 5 kinds of yagyas which are mentioned. That we should, when we do Naivedya, then we should offer that food outside to the ants and other, living beings. And we should invite the guest to take food. We should study the Vedas. So like that, 5 counteractions are given. But for us, we should be conscious that we should not do these activities purposefully. That purposefully, while sweeping, we kill the ants. We should not do that. If we see the ants, we can lift them and place them outside. But invariably, there are many living jantus which are killed, which are not seen also. So we should be conscious while doing these activities that we don't unnecessarily harm or kill other jivas. And we should take up the holy name. We should chant the holy names. The holy names is the measure for us as devotees. We need not, exactly do the karma kanda rituals, which are 5 kinds of contraction. All that is taken care in the bhakti process. In the bhakti process, we invite Vaishnavas to our house for prasadam. We invite other sadhus for prasadam. And as devotees also, that Srila Prabhupada's father, in his shop, he used to keep some food for the, rats, because he knew that if they don't get the food, then they will eat the cloth. So we should also be generous, that we should, keep some food for other living beings who are there in and around us. And, we are doing this, Veda part in the form of studying Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, that is sufficient. So all these things, the 5 counteractions, the karma kanda counteractions need not be taken. In the bhakti path only, these counteractions are given. And by taking care, we'll be safe and protected. Any other questions anyone has? Okay. So tomorrow, more in detail, Namabhas is going to come. And please understand this Namabhas, because by understanding Namabhas, what was going to happen, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said that we will be able to take Shuddha Nam. So Namabhas is a very long discussion. Almost there are, I think, 90 verses in Namabhas. We have finished 20 verses now. And the next section is going to be very, very interesting. And we will take that tomorrow about how to become free from this Namabhas and to take up to Shuddha Nam. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. Shri Harinam Chintamani ki jai. Hare Krishna.